want you to imagine something very real. One ordinary morning, India wakes up to a silent, invisible disaster. Banks freeze, UPI collapses, stock markets halt, mobile networks fail, international communication lines go dark, even secure military channels lose their connection. And there is no missile strike, no obvious cyber attack, no visible threat on the radar. The real attack is happening far beneath the waves, thousands of meters below the surface, where sunlight never reaches. A few precise cuts in critical undersea cables, a stealthy underwater drone deployed weeks earlier, a silent foreign submarine waiting patiently on the ocean floor. No explosions, no headlines, no public warning, but the effect is catastrophic. In a single night, a nation can lose its access to the world. This is not hypothetical. This is subsea warfare, a domain where the world's most powerful countries are preparing for conflicts that nobody sees, nobody hears, and nobody admits. It is the battlefield where the next great power contest will unfold. And for India, it is a battlefield that sits right at our doorstep. Today, we go into the unseen world beneath the oceans. A world that could determine India's security, economic stability, and global influence in the decades ahead.
Before we move forward, please like, share, and subscribe Strategic Vanguard and be up to date with the latest news and happenings from the world of defense, strategic, and international affairs. Tune into our video channels in YouTube and Rumble. And if you want to hear the audio version, tune into our Strategic Vanguard channels in Spotify and Amazon Music.
If you ask most people what the most important battlefield of the future is, you will hear the same answers. Space, cyberspace, artificial intelligence, autonomous drones, hypersonic weapons. All of these are critical, of course. But the most strategically decisive battlefield of the 21st century may actually be the one we still know the least about: the deep ocean. It is in the dark depths of the ocean that the foundations of the global economy, digital infrastructure, and nuclear stability truly lie. Every email, financial transaction, cloud database, and WhatsApp message depends on fiber-optic cables laid across the seabed. More than 95% of global digital communication flows through these cables. A simple cut, made in the middle of the night by a small underwater vehicle, can cripple entire countries. The deep ocean is also where the world's nuclear deterrents hide. Ballistic missile submarines, the ultimate second strike assets, rely on silence, depth, and invisibility. If that invisibility is compromised, the balance of nuclear power collapses. And finally, the oceans are transforming into a battlefield filled with autonomous drones, stealthy sensors, artificial intelligence, and silent robotic weapons. The technology that once belonged only in science fiction is now shaping real military planning. This new era of underwater competition is not happening in the Atlantic, not happening in the Arctic, but in the Indo-Pacific, the world's new economic and strategic center of gravity. And at the center of the Indo-Pacific subsea geography is India. The rivalry between China and the United States is reshaping the region, and both nations are investing billions into undersea warfare capabilities. What lies below the surface is no longer an afterthought. It is the heart of modern power. For India, subsea warfare is not a theoretical subject. It is urgent and immediate. The first reason is our overwhelming dependence on undersea cables. India's financial markets, banking systems, international trade network, diplomatic communication channels, and digital economy all rely on cables landing in Mumbai, Chennai, and Kochi. These are not just communication channels, they are the arteries of the nation. If disrupted, India could lose billions in hours and face a cyber-financial blackout of historic proportions. Second, India's nuclear deterrent depends on the survival and secrecy of our SSBN fleet. The Arihant-class submarines and the future generation of nuclear-armed boats must remain hidden in the depths of the Indian Ocean. But China's growing underwater surveillance capability threatens to detect and track even the quietest submarines. If an adversary can shadow our SSBNs, our nuclear stability weakens. Third, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are becoming the most strategically important real estate in the eastern Indian Ocean. They overlook the Malacca Strait, the primary gateway for China's energy imports and naval deployments. Whoever dominates this region underwater gains extraordinary leverage. For India, this is a natural strategic advantage. But China understands this too, and has been quietly expanding its undersea presence in the Bay of Bengal. Fourth, as future warfare shifts underwater, India cannot afford to remain a primarily surface-oriented navy. Submarines, autonomous underwater vehicles, deep-sea sensors, and underwater communication systems are becoming the core of modern naval doctrine. If India does not accelerate into this new paradigm, it risks being outmatched in a domain that will define the balance of power in the Indian Ocean. India's geographic location gives it extraordinary strategic advantages. But without strong subsea capability, those advantages will remain unused. The stakes could not be higher. The most intense undersea competition in the world is happening between China and the United States, and it is far more serious than the public realizes. On one side, China is building a massive network of underwater surveillance sensors across the South China Sea, an underwater equivalent of the Great Wall. This system, often referred to as the Great Underwater Wall, aims to track submarines entering and exiting the region, particularly American and Indian boats. China is also rapidly developing a formidable fleet of autonomous underwater vehicles. These drones can map the seabed, track submarines, cut cables, plant listening devices, or conduct covert reconnaissance. Many of them can operate for months without surfacing, using AI to navigate the deep sea. On the other side, the United States is preparing for an entirely new form of undersea warfare through DARPA's Hydra program, an ambitious attempt to create underwater motherships that deploy swarms of drones, mines, sensors, and robotic vehicles. These autonomous platforms could act as silent underwater bases, launching missions without ever revealing their location. As both powers expand their underwater presence, the Indo-Pacific becomes the chessboard for an invisible contest. American submarines monitor Chinese movements. Chinese vessels track U.S. carrier groups. Both sides use drones and sensors to gain acoustic signatures, and both quietly compete for influence in the deep ocean routes that lead toward India. This rivalry is not limited to the open Pacific. It extends into the eastern Indian Ocean, reaching dangerously close to India's maritime borders. Whether India wants it or not, this contest is already taking place in our strategic backyard. The technologies shaping the future of subsea warfare are evolving at an extraordinary pace. Artificial intelligence now enables underwater drones to operate independently for months, navigating complex terrain and making decisions without human control. These drones can travel silently, carry sensors or weapons, or simply gather acoustic signatures of submarines for later analysis. Quantum sensing technology is making it possible to detect minute changes in sound, pressure, or magnetic fields, potentially exposing even the most advanced submarines. Stealth is becoming harder, while detection is becoming sharper. Seabed combat modules, essentially underwater mines equipped with AI, can lie dormant for years and activate only when a specific acoustic signature passes nearby. Instead of static mines, future underwater battlefields may be filled with intelligent autonomous traps that reposition themselves or coordinate in swarms. Underwater EMP devices, capable of disabling electronics without visible explosions, could cripple communication cables or disable hostile drones. Meanwhile, acoustic cloaking technologies are being developed to make submarines nearly invisible to sonar by deflecting sound waves. Even navigation is being revolutionized. Without GPS underwater, submarines rely on inertial systems, but new quantum gyroscopes and magnetic navigation technology will soon allow precise underwater movement without traditional reference points. This technological evolution is not a side story. It is fundamentally changing how nations think about sea power, deterrence, and intelligence. and India must keep pace.
Before we move forward, please like, share, and subscribe Strategic Vanguard and be up to date with the latest news and happenings from the world of defense, strategic, and international affairs. Tune into our video channels in YouTube and Rumble. And if you want to hear the audio version, tune into our Strategic Vanguard channels in Spotify and Amazon Music.
If India wants to maintain stability in the Indian Ocean and counter China's growing presence, we must build a comprehensive subsea strategy. The first step is to create an indigenous seabed surveillance network, similar to the American SOSA system. A grid of underwater listening arrays stretching across the Andaman Sea, Lakshadweep, the Arabian Sea energy lanes, and the Bay of Bengal. Such a network would transform India's situational awareness and allow us to monitor submarine movements across our maritime boundaries. India must also accelerate its nuclear submarine program. A credible undersea deterrent requires more SSBNs and a fleet of SSNs capable of hunting adversary submarines. For true operational readiness, India needs at least 6 SSBNs and 8 to 10 SSNs. This is not ambition, it is necessity. Without a strong underwater fleet, India cannot counter China's rapidly expanding submarine force. Equally important is the development of a robust indigenous UUV program. India must invest in long-endurance gliders, deep-sea drones, seabed crawlers, cable monitoring robots, and AI-enabled swarm systems. These assets will act as India's eyes and ears in the deep ocean and, if required, its hidden weapons. Strategic partnerships will be crucial. Japan offers unmatched underwater acoustic expertise. France can support propulsion, stealth, and submarine design. Australia is rapidly building its own undersea domain awareness capabilities and shares India's concerns about Chinese expansion. Together, these nations can create a defensive shield across the Indo-Pacific. India must also treat subsea cable protection as a national security priority. A dedicated military structure should monitor cable routes, offshore energy installations, and deep-sea infrastructure. This cannot remain a telecom issue. It is a strategic imperative. Finally, the Andaman and Nicobar Command must evolve into a full-scale subsea warfare fortress. With surveillance networks, autonomous drone hubs, and submarine facilities, this region can become the center of India's underwater defense grid. India has the geography. India has the capability. Now, India needs the strategic will. For centuries, wars were fought on land, in the air, and on the seas. But the wars of the next century will be fought in a place where no sunlight reaches, in the deep, dark, silent world beneath the oceans. There will be no explosions, no breaking news, no public declaration of conflict, only silent moves and counter-moves, executed far below the surface. The nations that dominate this unseen world will shape the world order of the future. China understands this. The United States understands this, and India must understand this now. The Indo-Pacific's future will not be decided by who has the most advanced aircraft carrier, or the fastest fighter jet, or even the best cyber capabilities. It will be decided by who commands the depths, who controls the seabed infrastructure, who can detect and intercept submarines, who can protect undersea cables, and who can deploy autonomous systems that operate without warning. Subsea warfare is not the distant future. It is already here, and India must be ready. This is Strategic Vanguard, and I'm Manoj Ambat. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for joining us on this Strategic Vanguard deep dive. If you found value in this analysis, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We bring you fresh deep dives every Wednesday and Saturday here on YouTube and Rumble, and you can also catch the audio versions on Spotify and Amazon Music. Just search for Strategic Vanguard Deep Dive. For more insights, articles, and discussions, subscribe to our blog at strategicvanguard.com. Your support helps us grow and bring you more in-depth analysis on defense, geopolitics, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay strategic.